Welcome to the Work-Life Balance Podcast. I am Kara.
And I am Maggie.
Together, we're a power real estate team with the Bajetti Partners in Nashville.
We believe that the hustle culture of today's driven entrepreneur who lives and works in Middle Tennessee
requires balance.
Insurance should never be a hurdle when purchasing a home. It's one of the most important purchases of your life and should be handled with proper care.
Whether that be your first home purchase or the next addition to your portfolio, reach out to the Sally Insurance Agency with Shelter Insurance for a free consultation so you're confident that you are protected when it matters the most.
Call Shay and Sally at 865-671-6451.
Hey guys, welcome back to Work-Life Balance with Maggie and Kara. Hey Maggie.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Good, babe.
Good.
So Maggie and I were just talking about what we should make this podcast about today, and we thought we'd give you all a behind-the-scenes look at real estate.
Yeah, and just some misconceptions about our field that most people have, especially Google has. So,
damn Google.
Yeah. Kick us off. What's the number one misconception of real estate?
Yeah, the number one misconception of real estate is that we're overpaid. I feel like if you look up real estate, it's on the list of the most overpaid jobs. And that's great that we're an overpaid job. It's so wrong, like on all levels.
I think it is wrong.
It's so wrong. Like if you really calculated the time spent on a client and the energy spent on a client, we're probably underpaid. Which it's fine. That's the name of the game. Like we love it and we do it for our reasons. But it's just like, yeah, everybody thinks, wow, you get this big fat commission check and you just got it. Like it just happened. It was easy. And
I think that, and I think the reason that it's like that is because people have a tendency of only sharing their successes rather than sharing things that go wrong. So when people think about real estate, they do think of like the big commission checks because that's what people like to flaunt. They're like, oh my gosh, I just sold a $2 million house and I got $50,000 or whatever. Those are just rough numbers. But then that gets publicized and people are like, oh my gosh, well, you probably sell $2 million houses a year. You make a ton of money. But a lot of them are not that big. There's babies in there too.
Yes.
But
and it's like we talked about before, it's such a highlight reel when you post that stuff that, oh, you know, you got another house in contract or whatever. But like if you really posted what it looked like to get that house in contract, they would look at us a little bit different.
Absolutely. I really think so.
Yeah. And so we kind of wanted just to clear that whole idea that we are overpaid. But, you know, like when it comes to real estate, what it actually looks like and what you see are just different. And that's what we're trying to share with you right now. So like the behind the scenes of a daily, like we are just a little bit of everything. So
before we go into that, I want to talk about why we are not underpaid in the pro bono work that we do. And Kara can probably attest to this way more than I can because she's been in it way longer. But even the 8 months that I've been doing this, there's been so many clients that, I mean, you get them, you're like, okay, this is a done deal. Like I'm going to go show them houses. We're going to go under contract. I'm going to get that check, right?
Yep.
Absolutely not.
Like the opposite?
Yes, the opposite. You have people that, one, are just there to waste your time, whether they have that, you know, conscious thought or not. That's really what they're doing. But you'll show 15, 20 houses and then not buy anything and then they'll ghost you like, bye.
Totally.
And we say it all the time, like, we're not just a tour guide.
We are not a tour guide.
Yeah.
I just say that to you a lot because it's like, you're so willing to just do it out of the kindness of your heart. In fact, yesterday, that gal calls you and she's got a flat agent. And you say, oh, but I've already taken pictures of the home. Do you want me to?
I sent them to her.
I'm like, bless Maggie's heart. She's the most kind, loving agent you'll ever find. I swear you are.
Thanks.
You're going to get more bitchy as you get more exposed to it. But yeah, I love that you do that. But that was funny.
I will. I'll go everywhere for these people.
I know you will.
And a lot of your time.
Yeah, you end up spinning your wheels though. And that's what like the back of that story is that I don't want to see you going out showing property for hours and then it ends up they have an agent. So we have to do our due diligence on that.
Which has happened many times.
Yeah.
It has.
Right.
And I think it is, which we'll go into here in a little bit. It's just like vetting them up front and just making sure like, okay, you are serious. Like if I do find you a house, because I can find you a house.
Right.
I have no doubt in the ability that I'll be able to find something that you like. It's just a matter of, are you actually going to buy it when I do find it?
Right. And I think that's something we've learned to do with the buyers is, one, what's your time frame?
Yeah.
Like, are you serious? If I find you the home that you've given me your specs, and if I find you that home, are you willing to write an offer on? Because if you are, then we're willing to spin our wheels and do everything in our power to make that happen.
Right.
But like you said, if you're just using us as your tour guide or something fun to do on your Saturday, that unfortunately is not going to work, because this is our livelihood and our job.
Right.
So we have to protect that as well.
For sure. And Reed makes fun of me all the time. He's like, you just go play house, which is like, it's true. Like, you get to go have fun, go see houses, meet new people. And a lot of it doesn't seem like a job, but we are doing this to get paid. It's not just, for fun.
I mean, the benefit is you get to walk through some beautiful homes
and meet some really cool people.
And meet some great people. But it's our job. Like, we have to pay the bills.
For sure. Yeah.
So that's that. Yeah. Well, so that brings us like to a couple examples. So like, you can totally vouch for the buyer example.
Yeah.
So what'd you do?
Okay. So, I mean, this has been multiple times. It's just like, people say that they're serious, like they're ready to go. They'll find these houses that they want to go see. It'll be farther away than you actually kind of want to go, but you do it anyway. So I went, 15, 20, maybe even more than that.
I think maybe more.
Yeah, maybe more than that. In a city that was like 45 minutes away from me, multiple days. Like, this went on for weeks. And they kept telling me, yeah, we like this one, but I think we'll really like the one that we're going to see next. And I'm like, okay, all right. So then we just keep going round and round and round. And then they effing ghost me.
After like months.
Yeah, after 2 months of running around, showing them houses, canceling other plans and other things to go do that. They fucking ghost me.
Yeah. Which is like, I don't know about everybody watching, but that is like our pet peeve.
Yes,
like, if you are done looking, awesome. Could you just shoot that text back and say, hey, stop texting. Like, I'm kind of done looking in the moment. Yeah. That's all we ask for, because otherwise we're going to blow your phone up. Like, it's not going to stop.
We said that last week. We will blow your phone up.
We will blow your phone up.
But not if you just let us know.
Right.
I mean, you're like, hey, my cat died. I'm not going to buy a house for 3 weeks. Like, I mean, that's just a crazy example. But it's okay. Like, shit happens. Life happens. Yeah. And it's okay to change your mind, especially with a huge purchase like that. It's not something that you just step into. So we get it. And we don't want to be annoying. We don't want to badger you, but text us back. Just let us know what's going on.
Just say no thanks.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We're moving on.
Bye.
And then I know we've also had this happen on the listing side where, and we'll get into this also, like what it actually looks like to list a home. Because it's not just throw up a for sale sign in the front yard and boom.
Yeah.
It's on the market.
Well, it is if you have a shitty agent.
It is if you have a shitty agent, but with the Machete partners. No. So we've had this with actually 2 listings recently, where we spin our wheels, we do all this good stuff, marketing, the photographer, all that expenses that go into it. And then we bring a ready, willing, and able buyer, and they decide, you know what, we're just not going to sell anymore.
Yep.
Which was super frustrating, because we gave them a full price offer, and it was just an awesome deal. That was a pain in the ass. That really was like, wow.
And the buyers loved it so much, they were even willing to go $10K over.
Oh my God. It was just such an emotional mess for the buyers, and we felt really bad for them. Another example was one we had, Maggie's first listing, and you spent so much time and energy.
So much.
And I mean, this specific client wanted you to send him fresh comps every single day. Like every single day he needed to know what is which is great. We do it anyways. But if she didn't, he kind of like got on you a little bit, and he wasn't very nice to you.
No, not very nice. And it wasn't just like, run comps and send me the PDF that it shoots out to you. Like, no, like actually go through. I called every single agent for every listing in that same neighborhood every single day. And if I didn't, they had me write out like Word documents, like with a photo of the listing that the comp was, with like specs laid out and why it was priced the way it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
And which is fine. But then they pulled the listing.
Yeah.
So it was like,
after we brought them a offer at what I originally told them that we should list at anyway.
Side note,
twice.
Listen to the experts when you're pricing. Yep. But those are 2 just examples off the cuff that just can be frustrating. And so that goes back to like, if we actually showcased all those stories, would that make the general public say, okay, realtors aren't overpaid? Like, if you really calculated all that bullshit time, like, yeah, it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're not complaining. This is not a complaint.
No, this is not complaining.
We're just trying to set it straight behind the scenes of actually real estate, which no one really takes the time to focus on. You know, it's just do your job, get my house sold, find me a home, call it a day.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a highlight reel. So we're not going on Instagram on our Instagram story, like taking videos of us bitching about, you know, the time that we've wasted on certain clients, because one, that's not the image that we want to put out. We don't want to seem like we're complaining about our job, because like Kara said, we really do love it. There's a reason we're doing it.
Right.
But it does look like, from a outsider's point of view, like, oh, they got another house under contract, like another one sold, oh, they're doing a podcast, like we have all these good things going on, which we do, but there's also another side to that.
There is a straight hustle going on,
for real.
So, and we're proud of it, and Maggie and I are just hustle girls. That's the bottom line. Like, that's what we do. And that kind of brings me to another point of like why, like probably why there's such a failure rate in realtors. And I think it's about 90%, which is very high.
That's really high.
That's really high. And I think really comes down to like the thick skin that you really do have to have in this kind of line of work.
For sure.
For Maggie and I, it works pretty good because we both have a psych background. Yeah. And I swear we're a therapist most of the time.
Oh, more times than we are actual realtors, we're therapists. Yeah.
So it's like, we were talking about this prior to the podcast. It's like, how many hats do you really wear through a transaction? Because one, it's a super emotional purchase, you know, and it's the biggest purchase you're ever going to make in your life. And it's really the biggest day of your life, besides maybe your wedding day or your firstborn child, or whatever, not your firstborn.
Yeah, especially if you're first time buyer, like that's a really big deal.
Huge deal. And we're very cognitive of that. She just bought her first house this year. I remember how I felt buying my first house at 24 years old. It's frightening.
It is.
You now have this mortgage payment. And oh my God, like there's a lot. So we're very aware of that. So like go back to the hat thing, like, yeah, so we might be your punching bag if you're really pissed off at us because we didn't get that offer accepted that day, or we might be your shoulder to cry on because you're either super excited about it or maybe you're also upset.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like maybe you need a hug. Like we're literally everything in one package.
That's true. And like, just because you're selling a house or buying a house doesn't mean your life is on pause. Like everything that you have going on in your normal day to day is still going on. And then you're also like going and looking at houses and trying to make a big decision, or selling your house and having people come rummage through your shit all day while you're at work. You know, it's
completely invasive and so overwhelming. So
it's very overwhelming.
Yeah. So we're aware of that, but I think that goes back to why the failure rate might be so high, because you truly do have to have thick skin to be in this business and to be able to handle the emotional roller coaster, the shit show behind the scenes, to be able to do this job and do it for longevity and be successful and keep your clients coming back, because shit hits the fan all the time and we're putting out fires 90% of it
all the time.
And we don't want the client to see all the stuff that's behind the scenes, right? So
that probably goes back to the whole misconception of why we're overpaid too, is because, I mean, even our clients and the people that work with us closely, even some like mortgage officers and like even title companies, don't see some of the stuff that we deal with on the day to day of just dealing with clients, dealing with sellers, like the agent, even just between the listing agent and the buying agent. Like there's a lot of back and forth that a lot of people don't see.
Absolutely.
So that's probably another factor to that.
Well, and I know for a fact there's a lot behind the scenes with the title company, because I've spoke to the people we like to use, she's putting out fires all the time. She's like, Kara, you don't even know how much I've dealt with just to get the wire over here today. Like how many?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people on your team, and that's why it goes back to the importance of a strong, solid team when you're buying and selling. Like you need all hands on deck.
You do.
And I've told Maggie this since the beginning, is you do not count that money until that shit is in your account. Because there has been so many situations that at the last minute, something falls out, and it's the worst feeling. It's almost like a gut punch, because you've worked your ass off for 30 days or maybe longer in just the escrow part, not the
not
work.
Anything before that.
And you're like, oh, it's coming. It's like finally, like it's done. I'm gonna be able to cash a check. and it's gone. So
yeah. And I haven't even been doing this very long, and I've seen that so many times already. Like last day, and not even exaggerating, like last day, like the hour before stuff will come up. And that is because you really do have a lot of different parts. I think a lot of people have a misconception of real estate as a whole and how many people go into it, because you have so many different parts. You have your own entity, which are the buyers or sellers. You have the agent you're working with. You have your mortgage lender, who also probably has a processor and a closer. And then you have the title company that probably has the attorney, the processor, the closer, and their whole team. So it's just a lot of people. It can get very misconstrued very easily.
Yeah. And then for us, we use a transaction coordinator. So you throw her in the mix.
Yeah.
She kind of helps.
10 people.
So that's good. Exactly what I mean by you want a solid team. That's a shout out to all you agents out there.
Yeah.
If you want to be successful, make sure your team is a successful team to work with.
Heard. Yes. So, okay. So now we're going to kind of segue into what it looks like to be a buyer's agent versus a listing agent.
Okay, so we're kind of and for most people, they might know because they've been through a transaction on a client side.
Right.
But like, we kind of want to just show you, like, as an agent, like, okay, so a buyer comes up, we get a lead. So what happens after we get the lead?
So basically you get them, you get their specs. So you have that initial phone call, or whether you meet them at a coffee shop, whatever. You just kind of talk about, well, what are you looking for? How many bedrooms, bathrooms, square feet, all that good stuff, specs about the house. You want to talk to them a little bit about their personal life too, because you can find a house that is better for them if you know more about them. So if they have kids, or if they have a dog and they need a backyard or a good school system, whatever. So you get all of those specs, you put them together, and if they don't already have a lender, you send them to a lender.
And that means they go get pre-qualified for a loan, which means that's the beginning stage. That doesn't mean you're actually qualified fully. So you've started the preliminary work on getting the loan. And you can listen to some of our podcasts on the lending side to get all those ideas. If you have questions, always feel free to reach out. But so that's like a priority. You've got to get qualified before we really get actively showing you property, because I can go, hey, Maggie, I think I can afford a $500,000 home. Well, come to find out, Joe Schmo has a 500 credit score, but might make a lot of money. So there's a lot of factors in that. So we want to make sure they get the qualification letter.
Right.
And then once we feel secure about that, we create a relationship with the lender. And then we can start doing our searches. Yeah. And that's when a lot of the time is spent on the back end. And, every morning we wake up and we run the hot sheet. And that is basically what shows you exactly what came on the market in the last 24 hours. So we're right on the forefront. And if we haven't already, we put them on auto notify, which is a generated system we have that sends out the second a home hits the market. So they get access like right up front.
Yeah.
So then Maggie typically takes on this major part.
Yeah. So then you do the searches, you send them, which RealTrax will give you just a link that you can send them with all the ones that you found that they might like. Send it to them. They show you which ones they like. You schedule showings, which also I will say is a beast in itself. Aligning schedules. So if you have 10 houses to show, lining them up perfectly. If there's other showings to schedule around,
mapping
them, figure out which one to hit first. If you're running late, having to let people know, change schedule times in between. It's a whole thing itself. But yes, you do the showing. So you go out and do all that. And then you go under contract, which we could probably do a whole nother episode on what it looks like to go from contract to close. But
you made a good point or a stat to me earlier I wasn't aware, but Maggie found that it takes 90 days from lead to conversion, right, to basically closing escrow. That's like the average time. So if you take all that stuff we just talked about, getting the lead, getting the specs, getting the lender, doing the searches, showing the property, that could take 90 days by the time, and an escrow is 30 days typically, sometimes longer. So let's say that's 60 days prior to getting into contract.
Sometimes even more.
Or longer. I mean, we have clients that we've been working with for 6 months now.
For sure.
So that's a lot of time that we have invested into that client. So that's what it looks like for a buyer's agent. We definitely could go into it even more, but that's in a nutshell.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, that just kind of goes back to the whole thing about why there's such a high failure rate. I mean, because if you really take that 90-day time frame and you're looking at your first year of real estate, that's 3 months for one lead. So, I mean,
that's right.
Times that by 4, that's 4 deals in a year if you're spending 90 days to convert one person. Like, that's a lot,
right.
A lot, which we're also going to do an episode about this later on. So stay tuned about that. But what was I going to say?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right, because people aren't, one, they don't understand you have to seriously hustle if you're going to make at least 4 a year. I know that most agents, brand new agents, don't even sell one in the first year.
No, yeah.
They're just learning, they're going to trainings, they're doing all of that. So yeah, it's not, and it's hard if you have another job to really put that kind of energy into your buyers. So like for you, for example, when you came on, remember you picked up that little part-time job?
I was going to say that, yeah.
And her part-time job happened to be on the weekends, which that's when everybody wants to see properties.
Yeah. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. And I mean, it only lasted a very short time because she was like, I'm going both feet in. Like, this is my career. This is not a job.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be the career.
And that's why, I mean, I've had, just being young and, a lot of my friends are still figuring out what they want to do. A lot of them have asked me about real estate. And the number one piece of advice I give them is you can't go half-assed into real estate. Yeah. Like, if you're going to do it, you have to commit.
You have to commit.
I mean, luckily I had Kara, so it was like much easier for me to kind of get into it. And that's, I think, the importance of having a mentor too, because it's not easy to do on your own.
No, and most people can't financially sustain it if they're brand new, they don't have any other income coming in. It is a big thing to bite off. It truly is. Like, I mean, I don't know how I did it back then. I just remember just doing it. And
especially
knowing that
commercial too.
Yeah, commercial.
Commercial to real estate's even worse. It takes like 6 months to close a deal.
Yes, I mean, that's a whole nother, we could do one on that because we used to do commercial. Okay.
Yes, moving on, sorry.
Seller's agent. So what is a seller's agent? It's just a whole different side of it. So, okay. So let's start with you basically go in for an interview. So essentially an interview, because typically you're going up against other agents when you go to that first listing appointment. If you're the only agent, hell yeah, that's amazing. But a lot of savvy sellers are out there trying to negotiate commission down. They're trying to find out what your marketing looks like. They want to know what your team looks like. They want to know your experience, how long you've been in the business, all the things. And so you go into that listing appointment with your best hat on and you sell yourself. You literally sell yourself, because that's all you have in real estate is what you can do for them.
And there's so many of us out here. You have to set yourself apart.
You have to set yourself apart. You need to dress for success when you go to that meeting. You need to present yourself that you know what you're talking about. You need to go with your comps in hand. You need to know that damn neighborhood. Sure. There's a lot of homework that needs to be put into that listing appointment. And you need to go in with confidence. Oh yeah. And if you're nervous, you fake that shit until you make it. Yeah. Fake it till you make it. You have to.
You do.
You have to, because like for us, we're a team. So Maggie gets to use my years as like a backup plan.
Right.
Like, yes, I might be new in the business, but Kara has 20 years, so you get all of her knowledge and experience to go with it. So it's a package deal. So that's a win-win for our client.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
which that does come up a lot. And any new agents out there, I'm sure you get that too. And not only new agents, you could have been doing this since you were 18 and now you're 22. So you've had 4 years under your belt, but people hear you're 22 and they're like, I know. People automatically discount you if you tell them that your age and you're young, just automatically. And you can't really blame them for doing that either.
You felt that, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. I avoid telling people my age now.
I think you look a little older now that you wear glasses.
Yeah, I think so.
You look like more mature.
Yeah. But back to it, so you run comps, which is, if you don't know what that means, you basically look at comparable houses in the area, see what they've sold for, to basically have an average price of what that home should go for. And that's one thing to point out too. I feel like during that listing appointment, that number can change, because you go in it and you may not know the condition of their house, or they would have done updates and stuff like that raises the value, right? So it's never just a set number. You really need to like go in there with kind of open eyes and, take it for what it is.
And typically, side note, they usually have a number in their head.
Yeah, always. Not usually, always.
They always have it. But I know for sure they like to hear our number first. And that also is and can be a game changer for you to get that listing or not. So like if I think the house is worth $300,000, they think their house is worth $375,000. That's quite a difference.
Yeah.
And they could get really mad at you about that. And so me, in my personal opinion, you stay true to the comps because that's what the appraisers are going to use. And with the market, the way it's changed so drastically in the last year, you can't go back a year and go, oh, well, a year ago it sold for that. Unfortunately, no. Like you really, I know appraisers only like to go back 3 months, but I'm saying that's like even pushing it. Oh, because we've changed this year, has changed so much. So, I mean, 3 months max.
You definitely can't go back 6 months anymore.
No, you cannot. So that's why every day when you're listing a home, it's important that you know what the competition is, and then you have those conversations with your seller. Like, I think it's time we maybe reevaluate the price if we're not getting activity, or and that all comes along with. Once you get the listing.
For sure. And we've talked about that before too.
Yeah.
And then next you go into marketing. So you do the photos and you get the listing on the MLS put together. And if you're doing like a virtual tour or a video and stuff like that, you kind of call somebody up typically, because I'm not a photographer. I don't do that. So you call somebody up, you pay them to come out and do that. And then you put it up.
Yeah. And that's something that we offer as a service.
Yeah.
I know agents that put that service fee onto their client. I've always thought, and I've always thought, you know what, that's one thing I can do.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it might cost, it's a gift. And at the end of the day, I usually like to give them their photography package because it's done so beautifully, and with the drones, and so that's something we do for our clients.
Which I didn't know people didn't do that. Mm-hmm. Oh, another reason to use us. We'll pay for your photos. And then you put the listing on the MLS. But then it doesn't stop there. I mean, unless, which we've had this happen, but it go off within the first 24 hours. Unless that happens, you typically need to go that extra step and do an open house, which we talked about this with Lindsay. But the way you do an open house really, really matters.
Yeah.
And it says a lot about you. Like, I had one of the busiest open houses I've ever seen and been to in my life. And I've been to a lot of open houses before. But I really and truly do think that it was because I went the day before, 2 days before, put out all the signs so people can see 2 days worth of driving by, seeing, oh, that's going to happen on Sunday, right? And then the day before, I went to 50 houses around that house, door knocked, and handed out flyers saying, hey, come to my open house and drink a mimosa. And there was 50 people that showed up to the open house.
So you said it was so successful.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. And I think you got a couple buyer leads from it. And I mean, so serve alcohol, people are going to show up.
Oh, absolutely. Alcohol and food, people will be there.
Yeah. So that's important. I think the main thing you did was you gave those flyers out. That's not something that most agents do.
No.
That's that's a cool thing that needs to be something special that we do with all our open houses. Because then people know. And did we do Nosy Neighbor on it?
I think so.
Shout out Lindsay, because that was
Lindsay.
That was your thing that we kind of stole from you. But
yes, nosy neighbors welcome.
Nosy neighbors welcome, because that's what most of the neighbors are, which is fine. We welcome everybody because typically they want somebody they know to move into the neighborhood.
Oh, absolutely.
So that works
for sure.
So the open houses, all the marketing, and then once that all goes through, then we hope for an offer, and then the paperwork trail goes from there, and then hopefully everything goes well, and then you sell the home, and it was a great experience for all parties. I mean, at the end of the day, it's important to us to have repeat referrals, repeat clients, and so we want it to be a pleasurable experience on all parties. So we do try to go a little bit over and beyond.
I think we do a good job of that.
I think our feedback has been pretty positive from all of our clients. So we're work in progress like everybody else, but we are very conscious of that.
Oh, absolutely.
It's important to our brand and
just who we are. I mean,
our business.
Yeah, and we're not the greedy type. Like, we're not just in it for the money. We really want you to have a good experience and a good escrow, because it is stressful. I was going to say something else about buyers versus sellers agents. I feel like buyers agents do more of the paperwork than sellers agents do. And correct me if I'm wrong there, but unless something goes really wrong, because if you're a buyer's agent, you're doing more of the writing the offers and filling out all of the, maybe sellers have more upfront, like the disclosures and stuff like that. But that's really not a lot. That's one document here in Tennessee, maybe different in California.
Yeah, 100% different in California.
But yeah, it's different. It's different here. But, and then if you're doing repair requests and stuff like that, that's typically on the buyer's agent to kind of put all of that together and send it to you. So I feel like that's just another difference there.
I think that you're probably right about the paperwork trail. I think they both are just so different, different beasts. Like, you're spending a lot of time driving. So now you've got gas prices and all that and not wasted, I hate to say that, but like your weekends are taken. You know, there's a lot that goes into being a buyer's agent. Yeah. Seller's agent, there's more of a financial thing because you're investing in the pictures. You're investing in the marketing.
And if it doesn't sell, that's just out the window.
100%. Or they pull the listing or whatever the case might be. You're buying alcohol for the open house. Like it's more of a financial investment and a time investment because you're spending, again, a Saturday doing an open house. So I think both sides they're probably the same when it comes down to it, just in a little different ways. But it's a lot of work on both ends of it. So I wouldn't say, it's easier to be one or the other.
Right.
It's not. No. They both are totally different.
I was going to say one thing too, just about dealing with people in general and what real estate is actually like. I forgot to say this earlier, but I really do feel like the number one thing that you could do to kind of help yourself is learn how to manage other people's personalities and match other people's personalities. Like we have a client right now that when I first talked to him the very first time, very stern, like straight to the point, didn't want to talk at all. And then I met him, you know, kind of figured out who he was and figured out his personality and was able to match that equally. And now he likes me and is all talkative and, you know. Love that. But it's just really important to be able to switch hats essentially and go from, okay, you're talking to this client and you need to act this way, versus you're going to this client, you need to act this way.
Right. Well, and that's just pivoting and making sure that you can kind of be an all-around agent. And the personalities are so different.
They are.
Everybody's so different that, it's like a chameleon, right? Is that what that saying is? Yeah. Like you just kind of like become, and I think you do a great job. And that's why all these people are.
I think bartending did that to me.
It probably did, because you were a therapist there too, huh?
Yeah. More than real estate, probably. But I think that's where, like, if you're young and you want to do real estate later, be a bartender because it'll help you figure out how to manage people.
Because people are hard to manage.
Yeah, they are.
I know. So what else? Like, what else can we tell them about behind the scenes? I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good, I don't know, that's a pretty good example of what we do.
I just always tell people that want to get into it, you really have to go all in. Don't expect anything and just kind of, you know, take it as it comes, because you will, like we talked about this multiple times, you'll have months where you're just like drowning in business, and then you'll have months where there's nothing, especially when the market changes. So it's really, and also like managing your money, being okay with going a long time without getting paid, because you never know when that's going to happen. So
and I think that just maybe to go off of that point, like the difference between real estate and like being just like in a field, like a specific field, like your job is, like your job as a nurse. This is what you do every day that you're there. You clock out, and then you get to leave that behind. And that's just a whole different way. And with real estate, every day is different. We don't know, like we'll do a mock calendar, like we think it's going to look.
But it changes every day.
It changes. The people that come and go change. It's just, you have to be able to pivot with the change, or it's just going to be too flipping hard for you. Yeah.
And that just goes back to time management. And I mean, me and Kara sit down literally every morning and like run through our list of what we have to get done for the day. And we'll add to that list all through the day, but you really have to know what needs to get done. And I mean, we have a whiteboard where we have all of our clients written down on it, and that changes every week. Like who's at the top, and like prioritize, which that sounds bad, like we're prioritizing people, but just readiness to like non-readiness, like we put them in order, and I swear that order changes almost every day.
Yeah, we do it like hot, warm, cold, and they all have a place, and they're either in our CRM, but I like to visually see it on a whiteboard too, because I'm a visual person. But yes, like that guy was hot last week and now he's cold. Yeah. So we're definitely changing, and it's just the way the game goes. Yeah. Love it. Wouldn't trade my career for anything. I think you probably feel the same. It's a fantastic career to be in if you've got the skills and you're willing to hustle. For sure. And that's really the bottom line. And we're just trying to clear those misconceptions, because we're hustlers, and I swear we're not getting overpaid.
Yeah, no. It's a lot harder than it looks, but it's definitely rewarding.
It's rewarding.
Yeah. So thanks for listening.
That's it.
Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will do an episode on what it looks like to go from contract to close and the difference between buyers and sellers on that, because I feel like we could talk about that forever. But
we could talk about all this forever. We just don't want to bore you guys.
Right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. See ya.